It's time to talk about two of my favorite teams in the National Hockey League. Teams number 2 and 3, the Habs and the Red Wings, are taking center stage here today because we have some topics that I thought were actually really good to dive into here. Now, this is not going to be the only video we make about the Detroit Red Wings. We're going to make another commentary later in today's show, talking about some of the updates that they've got in regards to trades. That future video is going to go over stuff that hasn't happened, but stuff that has been talked about. In this video, we're going to go over stuff that actually did happen because we have some really interesting Montreal Canadiens controversy to highlight, as well as a Red Wings signing beating out other teams like the Utah Mammoth and the Edmonton Oilers. Let's start things out here by talking about the Montreal angle. And I wanted to use this article from sport.actuality.sk to help us out. This is an article from the Slovak sport website sport.sk that talks about some of the controversy with Juraj Slafkovsky and how he is being defended here by Tomáš Jurko. Communication with the union was poor, almost non-existent. Jurko stands behind Juraj Slafkovsky, whom he says did not give up on the national team. Essentially, just getting the gist of reading this article, it seems like for Juraj Slafkovsky, Montreal Canadiens forward and first overall pick, the fact that he did not suit up for Team Slovakia at the World Championships this year was highly controversial for some of the folks in the country who pay attention to him and who have seen his story develop. You know, they often say that when it comes to the Slovak hockey fan base, how the body of hockey is done over there in Slovakia, it's often said that these hockey players are treated like some of the biggest celebrities in the country. I get it, you know, we might not necessarily feel that all the way here in Canada because, oh, Slovakia, it's all the way across the pond. Maybe not too many of us are familiar with how their culture defines the sport of hockey. But hockey players in Slovakia are a really big deal. And for Juraj Slafkovsky, the fact that he was the first overall pick just a few years ago, he was one of the biggest, most high-profile celebrities in that country too. So to see him suit up for Team Slovakia at all the international tournaments, and to also see him call out the Slovak Hockey Federation a few years ago, it's no surprise that there has been a lot of media attention in Slovakia and in Canada in regards to Slafkovsky's participation in these tournaments. So let's go back over onto this article and read some commentary made by former Detroit Red Wing Tomáš Jurko. I can't speak for others, but for me, the communication with this Slovak team was pretty bad. Almost zero. I hope it was because they had an overview of my health. At the time, I was seriously injured and I was speculated about whether or not I could actually play for the World Championship team. Jurko admitted about the poor communication from national team management, adding that he would gladly accept a possible invitation in the future. He considers the criticism of Juraj Slafkovsky, who did not come to the World Championship, to be unjustified. There are still many championships ahead of him, and we have to realize that he won't go to all of them. His body wouldn't be able to handle it. In Slovakia, not many people deal with this, but the psychological well-being of the player is also important. After a difficult season, you can be exhausted not only physically, but also mentally. The fact that he didn't come now doesn't mean anything. Slafkovsky can easily come to the next 8 or 10 World Championships. It all depends on how he feels. People have the misconception that every player from overseas whose season ends must automatically come to represent. So there you go. Those are some pretty strong words from Tomáš Jurko. Seems like this Juraj Slafkovsky thing was quite the big deal in Slovakia. The fact that he did not end up participating in the World Championships this season. But leave it to fellow Slovak Jurko to go out there and come to Slav's defense. I feel it's so interesting, man. Like, we don't usually get too exposed to these kinds of things. Like, we hear it in passing once in a while. Philip Mejšar or Juraj himself will speak out about how crazy Slovak hockey fans are and can be. But it seems like, just based off of what this article is talking about and what Jurko's talking about, it might have gotten a bit out of hand here with Slav's absence from the national team. But speaking about Tomas Jurko, that does relate to the Detroit Red Wings. And we had ourselves a signing yesterday that I actually didn't get a chance to talk about in a video commentary last night, but it was notable enough to dive into and talk about here in a video today. Let's talk about the newest Detroit Red Wings goaltender signee. It is Michal Postava, who has signed a contract officially with the Detroit Red Wings from yesterday evening. Take a look at this. The Red Wings have signed goaltender Michal Postava to a 2-year entry-level contract. Press release goes out there and says this: the Red Wings signed goaltender Postava to a 2-year ELC. Postava, 23 years old, spent the 24-25 season with HC Kometa Brno in the Czech Extraliga, posting up a 23-18 record with a .239 goals against average, a .921 save percentage, and 3 shutouts in 42 regular season appearances. The 6'2", 205-pound netminder also led HC Kometa Brno to a Czech Extraliga championship in 2025, logging a 10-7 record with a .197 goals against, a .940 save percentage, and 3 shutouts in 17 postseason games. His playoff save percentage of .940 was the best amongst all goalies in Czechia's top pro league. Postava stopped all 21 shots he had faced in Game 7 of the Czech Extraliga final against HC Dynamo Pardubice. For all y'all Lego Rocks 99 historians out there, yeah, Dynamo Pardubice does have a very significant presence on this YouTube channel in the years before we actually made news-related videos. A native of Valašské Meziříčí, Czechia, Postava spent the entire 23-24 campaign with HC Prerov in Czechia's second-highest pro league, earning the best goaltender honors after showing a 23-20-0 record with a .184 goals against average, a .943 save percentage, and 6 shutouts in 44 regular season games. Okay, we don't really need to go into his entire history here, but Michal Postava is a guy that we actually did make a video about before. We had spoken about how the Red Wings were interested in signing this goaltender, this young Czech goaltender, out of free agency, and they were potentially bidding with teams like the Edmonton Oilers, the Utah Mammoth, and the Seattle Kraken to get this done. They ended up winning the bidding war. Now, the question is all of a sudden going to ask itself for a lot of Red Wings fans, hey, what the hell does that mean for everybody else? There's another goaltender who's going to be brought in here, most likely, into North America. What does that mean for Sebastian Cossa? What does that mean for the rest of the system here? Trey Augustine has another year in the NCAA, so it doesn't really look like he is going to be that next guy, so what, you're going to run with Mrazek and Talbot at the NHL level, and then in the AHL, you're going to have Cossa, Gielander, and Postava trying to rotate as a 3-goalie rotation there? I mean, you can debate the need for a goaltender like this to step into the Red Wings organization. It doesn't change the fact, though, that Postava does have a very good profile for what he is. Czech goalie who was one of the best in the league, who ended up taking this big step into the promised land of Czech hockey, and now he's in a position where he has signed a contract with Detroit, and he'll be heading over, probably, to playing with the Grand Rapids Griffins. That is, of course, unless some unexpected news pops up that he ends up just staying in Kometa Brno and playing another season in Czechia, or maybe he gets loaned over to some other place in Europe, who really knows, it's possible, but we're gonna have to wait and see what the plan is here for Postava heading into the 2025-2026 season. Ultimately, though, this is a Red Wings signing that I did think was interesting enough to make a video about, and because it's not that big of a deal, I didn't want to make an entire full-length commentary about it like we did last time, just combine the news here with the Juraj Slafkovsky stuff out of Montreal. So with all this in mind, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about these Red Wings and Habs updates. What are your thoughts on the Juraj Slafkovsky Slovakia controversy that seemed to have gone down over the past few weeks? And what are your thoughts on Michal Postava's signing with the Detroit Red Wings? Do you have any high expectations here? How do you feel about his future? Let me know in the comment section all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this British Roll 99. And bye.